President, I ask unanimous consent the quorum call and broadcast will be vitiated.
Without objection.
And Mr. President, I had some time reserved, and I'm halfway through that time now, so I'll talk a little faster than usual, but because right now we have an armed services meeting, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of this side agreement that was made apparently with Iran. I want to applaud the Senate for taking another step, and that's what we're going to be doing in just a few minutes here in the DRIVE Act in Congress and with these votes, and we expect that tomorrow we'll see a final vote for passage to send to the House. This will be my sixth reauthorization over the past quite a number of years, and I can tell you these bills are all about compromise. It's hard to do. You know, there are a lot of members of this body who didn't think they got what they wanted in this bill, and I have to tell you, I didn't get what I wanted. And I suspect that the occupier of the chair didn't get what he wanted. And Senator Boxer didn't get what she wanted. That's the way this works, because this is a bill to get us away from the short-term extensions. So it has been obvious that members of this body are opposed to moving a 6-year reauthorization bill and are willing to use any procedural means to slow it down. Now, that's what happened. You know, if we had not had our feet being dragged yesterday, and if we had yielded back some of the time, we could have had these votes that we're about to have now yesterday. And if we had done that, we could have a final passage today and be sent over to the House before they leave. But they're going to leave. So that doesn't mean that this is not important. What we're doing today is passing this bill, and tomorrow passing this bill, even though the House has gone home, they all agree that we need a good long-term bill as soon as they get back. And that's why we have a motion before us for a short-term delay so that they'll have time to do it. So we'll have a good bill for them. We've worked on for several months now. It passed out of our committee unanimously. Every Republican, every Democrat voted for it. And we'll have a chance to do that. And also, I have right here, let me see these. These are state sheets on every state. And I can read off how every state benefits from this 6-year reauthorization bill, because it happens. All you have to do is talk to the governors and the mayors and the Department of Transportation in the country who are beginning of the fully expected Congress to only deliver piecemeal extensions, as we have in the past. You got to keep in mind the last reauthorization bill that we had was 2005, and I remember that vividly because I was the author of the bill. And we passed it. Everyone rejoiced. Yesterday, the senator from Minnesota was talking about the tragedy of the fallen bridge up in Minnesota, and you know, people dying, 13 people dying. And I've told the story back in Oklahoma about our bridge in Oklahoma City, where a chunk of concrete fell off, hit a lady with a mother of 3 children, and killed her. Now, this, you don't want to wait till this happens. We have bridges in this country, and we've talked about each one of them on the Senate floor during the discussion on this bill, that are deteriorated, and we have to do something about it. So if any member, and the staff of any member, I know the staffs are all watching right now, we have every state down here on things that we would have that would be a benefit to them by the DRIVE Act that we're going to be before us right now. Now, if we don't do it, there are consequences. And I have to remind you of that today as we approach the shutdown of the transit programs. I urge our colleagues to join in voting yes on this procedural hurdle today. If you vote no, you are reinforcing current law and extensions, which is the worst possible outcome. One thing is about the big projects. You can't do big projects with 3-month extensions, 4-month extensions, 1-year extensions even. And we've gone through 33 extensions, short-term extensions, since the safety loop bill was passed. And
the senator's time has expired.
I ask unanimous consent that I be given 5 additional minutes.
Without objection.
And so you have the problem of not having any of the big projects, and anyone knows that that is a problem. And the reason is that you can't, not only the big projects can't be done, but the cost. Short-term extensions, and a study has been made by Gary Ridley, who's one of the foremost authorities nationwide on this subject, and in that study he came to the conclusion that it costs about an additional 30% off the top to do short-term extensions. So if there's anyone who's a conservative who wants to take the conservative position in this, the conservative position is to vote for a long-term reauthorization bill, and that's what is before us now. The current law funding has no growth, not even inflation. The DRIVE Act provides growth in the highway and transit systems in each state. We have all this state by state for those who are interested. The current law gives states, local governments no certainty. However, the certainty is there in the DRIVE Act. So we have every reason to do this. Project delivery. We're going to be able to deliver the projects. We can't even start the projects on short-term extensions. Freight. We have a freight section. We've never had a freight section before. I'm moving freight across the country. Transparency. Everything is out where everyone can see every nickel that is used, and that is it's the most transparent of all the reauthorizations that we've had. And lastly, the innovation. The DRIVE Act prepares our nation's transportation system for the future, and that's why it's so important that we get to it today. And I do compliment the leaders for doing this and making every effort to get this done before the House went home. However, this will give them a good start on what to do during this recess. I yield the floor.